So as Ms. Alderstein said, I'm Jason Vanderveen. I'm the fire chief for North Walton Fire and Rescue. Like she said, I was here in 2024. I've been the chief since 2019. And since 2019, we have come to the voters. This will be our fourth time asking them to reconsider a levy lift is probably the technical word. A more popular word is renewal. In the state of Washington, fire districts are junior taxing authorities. So the funds that our citizens or our residents give go directly to the fire district, and then we use them on the operations of the fire district. We buy what we need to buy, we pay our people, we pay our bills directly from us. We have taxing authority up to $1.50 per thousand of assessed valuation. So you could choose, the citizens could choose to pay $1.50 per thousand of their assessed valuation for fire protection. Additionally, fire districts can ask voters to approve 50 cents per thousand for EMS specifically. We do not have an EMS levy. We have a fire levy. There are a couple districts in the county that do have EMS levies, as well as the county does have an EMS levy. You see that on your tax bill, and that's pays for the paramedic service. So ALS, that's the guys and gals that give drugs. They're the mobile ER on wheels. We provide basic life support, so we can defibrillate, we do trauma care, we stabilize, we can assist your breathing, and we get you moving towards definitive care at the ER, towards paramedics in the ER. Our levy is currently 77 cents per thousand. The last voter approved levy was in 2006. I'm going to go on a bit of a history lesson here. In 2006, there was 4 items on the ballots for voters as far as fire protection in this area. Fire District 13 was the west side of the district. That included Blaine, Birch Bay, Semiahmoo, Custer, and a little bit west, or a little bit east of the freeway to Delta Line Road. From Delta Line east and down south in Laurel was Fire District 3. So there was a measure on the ballot in 2006 for each of those districts to approve a merger into one district. At the same time, there was also a levy lid renewal placed on for both of those voters, both of those sets of voters to approve, both at $1.50. It passed in Fire District 13, it failed in Fire District 3. So the combined levy rate in 2006, starting in 2007, was $1.37. So that's where we've gone from there. So we've gone from $1.37 to 77 cents. Now, it's kind of confusing, and if you want to spend a Saturday with me, I can try to explain it as best I can. The levy rate goes up and down. It depends on assessed valuation. So if you were to look at your house from 2006 till now, the levy rate goes up and down. But since I am not the assessor, but since all of our homes have been reassessed in the past 7 to 10 years, we all know they've gone up. The AV, or assessed valuation, has gone up. And that's what causes the levy rate to go down. Because the state of Washington has a 1% limitation, unless approved by the voters. The district's budget can only go up 1% every year without approval of the voters. So the levy rate can't stay artificially high, because then the treasurer's office doesn't know how much to tax you. So they drop the levy rate for everybody in the district. It goes down and down and down as the assessed valuation goes up. So this presentation I'm going to give you today is who we are, where we're at today, and where we where the fire district, where the commissioners believe we need to be. So Fire District 21, which is also known as North Walker Fire and Rescue, is 153 square miles. We've got 3 paid stations, Birch Bay, Blaine, and Laurel. We protect just about 34,000 residents, and we do that with 72 personnel. About 50 of those are paid personnel, either firefighters or chiefs, or we have 3 non-uniformed administrative dynamos, I guess, for lack of a better word. And then we've got a group of volunteers. They're not firefighters. They are, most of them are retired volunteers who bring water to us at fires, because we cover a lot of rural area and we don't have hydrants everywhere. They still want to be involved, but they don't want to wear air packs. They don't want to do all the training. Totally understand. And so that's who we are. Fire District 21 is the green area. So Birch Bay, Blaine, Semiahmoo, and Laurel is our third paid station. So we've got a station in Blaine, station in Birch Bay, station in Laurel. This here is a tender station. There's another tender station up here in the northeast corner of Linden, and another one here. So those 3 stations are where our volunteer tender operators come from when we have a fire. They run about 30 calls a year. The rest of everybody else runs about 6,000 calls a year. So over the years, our call volume has doubled. It's gotten people, we've trained people to call 911, and they're doing a really good job at it. I can tell you from the time I started in the fire service in 1995, actually, point of interest, I was a resident up here at Semiahmoo. And actually, I've got if you could pass these around and follow along. So I was a resident up here at Station 62 when I started. I've been paid since 96. And so all types, the calls that our people are handling have gotten much more complex. People are not as resourceful as they used to be. That includes me, right? I used to have to look things up in a book. Now I ask the Google machine and it tells me, and I don't have to do the research. So we've all become more dependent on technology and things. And where we see, where the firefighters see that is in what people call 911 for. We don't just get called for strokes and heart attacks and fires anymore. They're getting called for social work type stuff, chemical abuse, dependency type issues, neighborhood disputes, domestic violence, those kind of things. So the calls are much more complex. They're not as simple. I'm amazed at what our people can do with what tools they have. And it really does, this speaks to why it's important to retain our people. It takes years to get good at this craft. It's not something you can teach in 3 to 6 months. So we've seen a 79% increase in our calls from 2006 to 2025. 71% of those are medical calls, and about 30% of them, so 1 in 3 or 1 in 4, whichever way you want to look at it, are overlapping. The easiest way I can describe what happens when the call is overlapping, it means the closest station is not responding. So if you're in Semiahmoo, your closest paid station is Birch Bay. If your loved one is having a stroke or has a traumatic injury and you call 911, there's a 1 in 3 chance that aid car is coming from Blaine or Laurel or somewhere in the Ferndale area. It doesn't, I was looking at the times today of when those overlapping calls are, and you can pick it on a dartboard. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's scattered all over the 24 hours, and it's all over the 7 days a week. It's just completely randomized. I will say, being in the fire service has made me truly believe that everything happens in dreams. It does seem to kind of. So with the rise in calls, where are we at with other stuff? So we've got a severe problem with aging fleet and facilities. Station 63 in Birch Bay, the big brick station you see on Birch Bay Linden Road there, it was built in 1980. I don't know who thought putting a flat roof on the thing was a good idea here in the Northwest. It was built for a volunteer system. It was not built to house people 24/7. We've made it work. I will give credit to our younger firefighters. Those of us that are older, the joke is that it's just 63. Like it was just what we had. Our younger firefighters who are watching us, I guess the old guys, retire and get out of the fire service and have mental health problems or relationship problems or dependency problems or have gone through those things, they're determined to come out of this career unscathed. So talk about generational differences, it's massive. I appreciate what they're doing. I don't understand it because that's not how I'm wired, but I appreciate what they're trying to do. And I think they're going to be successful. But so when we say something like, it's just 63, they're not going to sit with that. And they have good reason to not. It's not had any major upgrades. No major upgrades in the last 46 years. Only one of our stations was built to house people 24/7 purposefully. That's the station in Blaine. It was built in 2000. Our firefighters, they live and work in the stations for 24-hour shifts. It's I don't want to call it their home, but it's where they reside for those 24 hours. All of our stations are at an age where they're just like a house. You got to plan for a furnace and a roof and all those things. They're all at that age where we're kind of waiting for those things to happen. And we all know what deferred maintenance costs. And that's one of the things you'll see in these slides. Actually, the next chunk over speaks to deferred maintenance. So we've got 35 vehicles in the fleet. 16 of those 35 would exceed industry standards for replacement. So all of our brush trucks, so the wildland trucks, they work. They do work. They're just cost heavy to maintain because they're old and they break down. So all of our brush trucks are beyond their service life. 7 of our 8 water tenders, the trucks that bring water to fires, they're past their service life, their useful service life. And when I say past their service life, 20 years is the industry standard. That's what gets you insurance points. We've got tenders that are close to 40 years old. They're still rolling. Now they're safe. We've got a mechanic. They're safe. They've been deemed safe. If it's not safe to the firefighter, we put it out of service. But the maintenance, it's happening more often. 5 of our 10 aid cars, our ambulances, are beyond their service life. 8 cars last about 5 years in frontline service and about 5 years as a reserve, as a backup. And then they're ready to go. Our aerial ladder, so we've got a 103-foot ladder truck. It suffered a major structural mechanical problem last fall, and it's been determined that it cannot be replaced. It's about a year and a half away from being over 20 years old, and it's not cost effective to repair it. We'd spend 6 digits to repair it and get nothing out of it. So it's not worth it. So we have money in reserves, but we really have to find out what happens in August before we choose where to spend that reserve money, because it's one-time money. It's just some cost comparisons between 2006, again, that's when the levy was last approved, and now. So an engine in 2006, a fire engine cost about $380,000. Fire District 4, who contracts with Fire District 21, ordered a new engine last month. No bells and whistles, just a toolbox on wheels for $1.15 million. A ladder truck in 2006 cost roughly $700,000. To replace the truck we have now is $2 million. City of Bellingham bought theirs over a year ago. They'll see it in 2 years, and theirs was $2.3 million. So EMS supplies, because there's fewer manufacturers, there's fewer distributors, plus the COVID squeeze, those costs are up 60 to 70,000 or 60 to 70%. And then you add the double the calls, right? I mean, we're spending more on more equipment. And fuel, I don't really say anything about. We all see it. These numbers are from last month. I didn't even run them again. But it's fuel just costs, and engines, fire engines are not made to be necessarily fuel efficient. So what we have is we've got a funding gap. We've got costs that are limited at 1%, revenue increases that are limited at 1% plus new construction versus what the real world is happening around us, and that's the squeeze. So the fire commissioners, the way the district works is you've got 5 elected civilians, 5 elected people that govern the fire district. I report to them, they're my boss. So over the past, well, really since 2019, I've been telling the Board of Commissioners that we're getting to the end of the road. We will not be able to continue our operation as normal without doing something to the levy rate. So again, they elected to put a levy rate before the voters in 2001 or 2021, and again in 2024. We failed. So 21 we did August and November; those both failed, and then in 24 that failed as well. We did August of 24. So the levy rate that I've and staff and the commissioners have determined to be an appropriate levy rate for a levy period of 6 years. Okay, the reason we're asking voters to consider such a big increase in the levy is because it's been 20 years since it's been raised. A responsible district comes to their voters more often and tells them, this is the condition of the fire district. This is the condition of our equipment. This is what we need to survive. And you'll see in more financially healthy districts, they're coming every 5 or 6 years for 5 cents, 3 cents, 10 cents, something like that. We're asking to go from 77 cents to $1.20. So $1.20 allows us to replace the equipment that we need to replace, the rolling stock, our engines, our aid cars. I presented what I believe to be a responsible 20-year apparatus replacement cycle, as for engines, ladder trucks, tenders, and aid cars. We are not currently in debt, but with apparatus costing $1 million plus, that's not, we can't do that anymore. So there is a program we can use through the state treasurer's office called the local program that we would finance apparatus through. So engines, ladders, and tenders would be financed through this local program. Aid cars we can still do; they're still affordable at almost $400,000. Those we can do in the budget as part of a capital expense with the levied lid lift. Additionally, this would allow us to renew Station 63. We recently did a feasibility study and asked an architecture firm to come in, look at the building, talk to the subs, and come up with some scenarios for how could we make Station 63 better for the public and better for our people. The 3 scenarios that we asked them to come up with was remodel within the existing space. As well, we're not just talking a beautification remodel. This would also include seismic upgrades, health and safety upgrades, those kind of things. So a remodel within the existing structure, tear off the front of the building, which is where the firefighters live, expand it so that it could be built for future use. So there would be the ability to house more staff there, as well as a complete tear down. So start over with a new building. Actually the estimates weren't, they were expensive, but they weren't, it's amazing. The remodel and the complete tear down weren't actually that far apart as far as costs go. I think it's because of the amount of seismic upgrades that the station needs. It's single layer brick, so that whole apparatus bay is just, it's kind of a risk. But that would allow us funds in there, again, financed through the State Department of Treasury, to do one of those three options. The big one for this group is it would allow us to staff fully with 3 firefighters eventually, and I'll get back to that, Station 62, right up here on Semi-Annual Parkway. That would be the first additional staffed station, would be the first additional services that the district would be able to offer since 2007. So I will show you a slide. It's not built into this PowerPoint, but it's one that Commissioner Anthony's been chomping at the bit to see. I will show you why we need to add more capacity to our station. Now, I'm not pandering to the semi-urban voter. This is the logical place for this station to happen, and we have a facility. It needs some upgrades. Money in the levy would pay for some of the upgrades, and health and safety things need to go into that station. But the goal would be, and I need to be really clear about this, it doesn't mean I can put a full crew there on January 1st, 2027. That's just not, it requires, because of vacancies, it's going to require us to hire about 16 people. So we need to add 12 firefighters to our roles. Plus we've got some vacancies that I'm holding off on because I don't know what our financial future is, and it's not responsible for the district to offer a job to a young family and then have to pull it back. We are planning on having an aid car there as close to January 1st as we can, staffed with some overtime as well as lateral hires, so hiring experienced firefighters. It would probably take us about 12 months to get a full 3-person staff with an engine and everything. But our goal and my commitment to you is to, as close as possible to January 1st, 2027, having an aid car. And I've spoken with the firefighters union, and we'll do it. We'll go all in. This is the same group that didn't get a raise last year, so they understand how important this is to the community, and they understand how important it is to them. Because, like I said, 1 in 3 calls is being answered by a station further away. They hear the concurrent alarms. They know. It's not a feeling of failure, but it's a helpless feeling when you know something's going on right down the street and you can't get there because you're another job. So those are the things that the levy would fund, as well as making sure that we're able to maintain a workforce. Like I said, they didn't get a raise this year. So again, how the levy would be used, we've got 3 big strategic priorities: staff station 62, replace aging apparatus, and preserve the current service. So everybody wants to know what this costs. This is a slide that I'm still messing with because I'm not sure exactly the best way to do this. Currently, these numbers are based on a home with an assessed valuation of $500,000. That is, we didn't just randomly pick that number. That is the current median AV in the county. So for Fire District 21, a home worth $500,000, a value of $500,000, pays $385 a year in taxes to the fire district. Monthly, that's $32 and almost 10 cents. So that's what it is monthly. The proposed monthly cost is $50, which is $600, excuse me. So it's a bit of it's a jump. It is a jump. And and you can use the $500,000 mark and, you know, roll it up or down depending on what your home's valuation is. What that does is it maintains and actually adds 24/7 fire and EMS response at all staff stations, including Station 62. Again, it replaces our apparatus that have exceeded their service life. Staff Station 62 and upgrades some of our aging facilities, most notably Station 63, which was, it's built in 1980s. You're thinking, well, that's not that old. But it was built for an all-volunteer system. And it was built for, frankly, an all-male volunteer system. So they've got one shower room. Right? So, and everybody's really good. I worked there. I had female crewmates. If you haven't seen your crewmate in a while and you're about to walk through a closed door, you better knock, because, you know, it's like living with teenage girls or boys. It depends if you know what I mean. It's like, it's yeah, but it's not as good as it could be. It's not as good as it should be. Everybody deserves to have privacy. Everybody deserves to, you know, and the lock on the door is like one of those flip locks like you buy at the hardware store. So yeah. But like I said, it's just 63 to the old guys. The newer generation, they're telling us that's not good enough. And frankly, I have daughters that are entering the workforce, and I have to agree with them. It's not good enough. You know, I think this group probably knows what's at stake, but if the levy doesn't pass, we're in a little bit of trouble, and we have some really hard decisions to make. You know, the cost to repair our apparatus go up, and they will continue to break down as frequently as they do now. Station 63 exceeds its safe lifespan. We've had, North Waukem's had, Fire District 21 has had 3 people since 2018 pass away from work-related cancer. We had one in 2024, one in 2025. These are people that worked their whole life, retired, and then spent their retirement sick and died because of their job. And I'm not, they knew what they were getting into. And, you know, I don't think they would have changed their careers. But the common denominator was Station 63. We've had an industrial hygienist go through it. They swear there's no, but there's something's not right. If the levy fails, staffing is going to stay flat, or we're gonna have to reduce staffing. We will not be able to hire vacancies. Just again, we can't hire people just to lay them off. So we're going to have to do some interesting staffing to make sure that we're able to answer all the calls. Our overlapping calls rate, response time raises. We will continue to use what's called mutual aid, meaning we're asking other districts to send their resources here. In the past 10 years, 5 to 10 years, we've done really well. Fire chiefs, there's a new generation of fire chiefs. We're not as territorial as the old guys. We understand that we're all kind of facing the same pinch with finances and call volumes, and we do share equipment across lines. But if you become the guy that's always asking, you understand. The insurance rating will continue to be at risk, and it could degrade. There may be people sitting in this room right now that live beyond Semyomu Drive on the Parkway, and I'm pretty sure that you've seen your homeowner's insurance rates go up. The way that insurance rates are determined, one piece of it is how many road miles you are from a staff station. So currently, if you're more than 5 road miles from station in Birch Bay Linden Road, your insurance rating is what's called a 9A. And it will significantly cost the homeowner more insurance. In some cases, I've gotten some feedback from customers that they've been dropped by their insurance company. And that it seems like insurance companies are getting out of the risk. They're going to a safer pool. It started in California. We saw it kind of creep up the West Coast. So, and the 1% limit continues to erode the budget. This levy does ask for voters to consider as part of the rate to go to $1.20 would be give the Board of Commissioners the approval to consider each year raising the budget up to 3%. So a 3% limit factor is what it's called. So instead of a 1% every year, it would give the commissioners the option to raise it 3%. That only happens at an open public meeting after a public hearing that we have to broadcast, we have to advertise that this measure is coming before the commissioners. There's public comment, and it doesn't happen at one meeting. So they have a public hearing beforehand, there's discussion, and then they vote on it at the next meeting. So it's a transparent process, and it is allowed by the state so that there's some relief from the 1% limitation. Just really quickly on how we stretched it out this long. We've extended equipment life by doing major repairs. Our mechanic finds parts on eBay if he needs to.
Oh my God.
When it's safe, we try to defer those capital costs. But we have been kicking the can down the road too far, and it's going to start to affect the amount of vehicles we can keep in our inventory. This says cross-trained personnel, but when it's not that they're training to do more emergency activities, there used to be 5 chiefs in the office doing all the logistical things and all those things. We've now pressed that down onto the firefighters. So some of those jobs, so like where buying equipment or buying bunker gear, those kind of things, soap and cleaning supplies, all those things, we've made that part of the firefighters' jobs. It doesn't come free, but it's cheaper than a chief. So we've tried to farm out some of these jobs that chiefs were doing in the past. We've cut the number of chiefs. We've made it work. We've pursued grants. We've pursued federal grants, we've pursued local grants, state grants, private grants, and we have been unsuccessful to date. I don't know what the secret sauce is. We've attended seminars from the people that actually, like at FEMA, that read the grants, and we're just, we applied for a FIFA grant. We all know that World Cups come to Seattle and Vancouver. Thought we had a really good shot at it since we are literally on the border. Our ask was $142,000. Wasn't even that much out of, I think it was 31 million. We got denied. I'm kind of at a loss. We've passed we get audited every 2 years. We audit into those audits. We've asked for a more frequent audit system or more frequent audits. And we've passed every audit that we've had. Those results are available on the auditor's website. And yeah, we've tried really hard to be transparent and upfront about what we're doing and what we can do. This is my contact information. I'm happy to speak with anybody over the phone or email or, if I could sit down with all 38,000, I would. Yeah, please, if you have questions. There is one more slide I'd like to show. It's the one Commissioner Anthony's been chomping at the bit to see.
I've already looked through here, hoping to get a glance at it.
No, it's not in here, but don't worry, it's coming. Okay, so when we talk about concurrent calls, this is the best and this was Commissioner Anthony's idea, we had it really messed up, or not messed up, we had this map, and we had responses less than 5 minutes, between 5 and 10, and then over 10. And it got really blurry. So Commissioner Anthony talked to me. I sat down with our deputy chief, who's really our computer guy, and said, hey, let's just look at everything over 10 minutes. And what 10 minutes means is that it's not the closest station responding. Okay, so 2025 in Lane and Birch Bay, all those orange dots are calls that took us longer than 10 minutes to get to.
Notice the village,
Yeah.
Notice? So-
Look at that.
Yep,
because they're hard pressed. The village actually is a long ways away from that fire station. They can actually drive it thinking about how far it is.
and really 4 months, 5 months out of the year, it's a slow drive down Birch Bay Drive. There's too many people, there's too many kids, there's too many people not paying attention. There is no exceeding the speed limit, no matter how many lights and sirens, you can be standing on it and you're still going 15 or 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this,
Wow.
when he had the idea for it, he's like, let's just show what takes 10 minutes longer to get to. And when, I won't use the word that Chief Malilo and I used when we first pulled this up. It's not a very,
I forget.
it's not a good look.
That's all, yes.
It's not a good look. It's concerning because all these mean, what this, predominantly what this means is that these are concurrent calls. We are asking for some further refinement so we can actually figure out how many were, what we want to know is we're trying to figure out which station they came from. So what we don't know is, were these calls handled by Ferndale? Were they handled by London? Were they handled by our station in Laurel? Was it 63 versus 61?
Was there a train?
Was there a train? Right? All those things. Was there a concurrent call plus a train?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like all these things. So, and Ms. Alderstein brings up a great point. This would give us two stations west of the tracks. So there's a little bit of built-in redundancy there. Now I will be honest, I can't remember the number right off the top of my head. What did I give you last night? 151 calls in the gated areas of Seminole.
I'll bring it up.
Okay. So 71% of our calls
It was 157 calls within Semiano, 121 were medical.
Yeah.
So 77%.
77%. So in your area here, you have a little bit higher number of EMS calls. 6% higher, which
For demographics.
yeah, right. It's some of it's also there's 300 plus calls happen in Birch Bay Village. Again, demographics, and there's just a higher number of people there. I think the population density is a little higher. So,
Which is the closest engine station to Blaine, 62 or 63?
62 can get there faster.
So if there's a 2-engine response, an 8-car and an engine in downtown Blaine, it's safe to assume it would be 61 and 62 responding and 63 would be at home?
It is, if it's currently that run type is only, would only be for a car accident or a higher level traumatic injury. We because of the limited number of resources we have, we only send on an aid call, it's a BLS crew and an ALS crew. So it's an aid unit and a medic unit. We don't send, we only add engines if it's a car wreck or there's some sort of mechanical reason for us to have an engine with its tools there.
Can I have an observation? I can offer an observation on this. This particular picture is what some of us have known, and the chief's known this, sorry, is 62 isn't about, it's about the system. 62 would have a dramatic impact on not only the concurrence calls, the response time. It has a dramatic impact. Every time you see one of those orange dots, and the chief alluded to it, but there's a good chance 69
Right.
is coming over this way.
Right.
And believe me, the city of Linden doesn't have fire stations falling off the tree. So 69 is probably the second engine into Linden.
It is.
So if anything happens in Linden, we're going. So the 62 issue is extremely important to the system as a whole.
Yes.
It's not a Simeonu issue.
Right, so what you're saying is it also gives 2 fully responding fire stations east of the railroad tracks as well. Because 69 is not being pulled away all the time to back up the west side.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's in my mind, it's the rising tide floats all boats or something like that. It truly does. It relieves. Now this, I will say, this this staffing of Station 62 is the chief that follows me has a big lift because he needs to start staffing stations east of the freeway. This same problem happens in if I use the word Delta, does everybody kind of know where that is? Enterprise and PPL area, the Northwood area, north of the city of Linden. This is not the only place this is happening. The district needs to expand its coverage because the fire service, the American Fire Service has changed. The world has changed. You know, when I got in the fire service, I started as a volunteer. I worked at a little watch shop repairing watches in Blaine, and the boss would let us go to calls during the day. That doesn't happen anymore. When I think about my daughter, who has, she's got a baby, and between her and her husband, there's 3 jobs. I don't know how they do it, but that's the norm. And those are the young people that are getting into the fire service. I will admit I said this, and some of you may remember it, but I said in the paper, I think after 2024, I was having a bad day, and people that live in $1 million homes don't volunteer for their local fire department. The problem is that a working class person, even upper middle class, is living in an almost $1 million home anymore, right? Yeah. But there's 3 jobs to balance all those things. My wife has even told me, if you were getting into the fire service now, I wouldn't let you volunteer because I need to be home. I got other things to do. She's got a list.
I'm not alone.
Another observation. Based on what I know, and this is, you can say, well, that was true in 1967 when you started, right? But not anymore. But let's say we have the insurance for 5 miles, the other side of the stop sign. From a purely technical standpoint, if you put an engine in there that's 25 years old, the rating bureau has the ability to say that doesn't count.
Correct.
It's the same as a station not being there.
Wow.
So there was I watched the board meeting yesterday, and there was an enjoyable 14 minutes while you folks talked about it. One of the participants in the meeting relayed a story that I found. Probably can tell you the minute mark from the meeting on YouTube, but he says, yep. Essentially said, yep, I had my insurance was renewed, and the insurance guy said, damn, you're lucky you got that station right up the road, right around the corner from you. And he kind of chuckled and said, I didn't tell him, there's probably nobody there. But the insurance is, it's all tied together. The equipment, the right number of people, the right equipment, the impact it has on a response, and the outcome is all, can be seen both in the results on how long minutes it takes to get to us, all the way down to how much insurance we're paying.
If
So
we can get it.
if we can,
And then what happens to your property value?
well, this,
Your resale value, I should say. Yeah.
well, this morning, kind of a comment on my wife, I guess. She was going out the gate, and here comes the medic 63, turns down our street. And I would have thought after 54 years of marriage, she would have said, honey, you okay? About 3 hours later, she comes home from the senior center. I said, well, it must not have been for you. But right across the street, we see it all the time. Right across the street, there's a car 63 and the paramedics from Ferndale. 2 of them there to help somebody out in the neighborhood. And we're lucky because our street's within 5 minutes. Not because of insurance, but because those minutes really count when you need help. And when you've got trained crews that can help me with airways and bleeding and circulation, they're buying you minutes. So, and the chief is also very generous because he's a good chief. But I think the cliff we're looking at is a lot worse than you feel comfortable talking about. Because if the levy doesn't pass, there isn't a way to say, well, we'll just give you money for inflation, and pay that extra money for the diesel and the extra money for this or that, because it's a call volume. So what happens if the levy doesn't pass, even if the fire department just got enough money to deal with inflation and didn't add any resources, Station 62, the average minutes on the calls have got to go down. Because instead of being 30% of the calls or whatever the number is on concurrence calls, they're going to be more, that number's going to continue to go up. And the dots each year, reasonable to assume the number of orange dots each year will go up.
In fact, they'll be colored in red.
Yeah. Over the new black. Just to show. 15 or something.
So I think my last observation, I've been involved around the fire district for almost 2 years. Since the day after the last levy failed almost, or the results came out. And I called Matt, another commissioner, and told him I was really disappointed with what was going on with the fire district. And before I know it, I'm called over to Matt's house. And there comes the board chairman and the fire chief. I can imagine what the fire chief is thinking. Here's a 75-year-old guy, retired has-been, busted my chops about the fire district. So he's been trying to figure this out for a long time, and they're doing a good job. I looked at the department, they're running lean, embarrassingly. And how they've held it together this long is beyond me. And we've got to give them some help. I yield.
Thank you. And just, I don't know if you all know Commissioner Anthony's resume or not, but he was what us little chiefs consider a real chief. So he was the chief of Riverside County, California.
And Pebble Beach is class 1 part.
Right, okay, class 1, what every fire chief wants to be. Right?
I think I might have a tattoo somewhere.
And he was talking about the age of the equipment and not being sent because of that. I lived in Oakland during the Oakland fires.
Yeah.
And up in that area, they're called in 5 stations as far as down to San Jose. And out of that, 30% of the equipment could not go up there because of the age either.
Right.
So that's why that whole area was just toast.
It's just,
Yeah.
you know, and it's, there's other problems with, there's other things, political forces happening. That's, there used to be about 25, 30 manufacturers of fire apparatus equipment in the United States. There's down to 3.
Oh, wow.
That was overseas.
Yes.
They're owned by equity firms.
Yeah.
And that's part of the cost increases that we've seen is that, I don't accuse anybody of anything, but Congress just recently talked to them about, throttling it's gotten really bad. And we're all seeing that in all walks of, what we do. Yes, sir.
The overage apparatus, how much does that maintenance cost per year? And do you do your own maintenance or is it subcontracted?
We do. We have a mechanic,
Okay.
and he does as much as he can. We do send things out. Major things like we recently had. This was one I enjoyed asking the commissioners for this money. We just spent about $30,000 to replace a pump, almost 40-year-old tender because it failed. But we have to have that tender.
Sure.
That kind of thing we send out because it takes multiple days, multiple people. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
We spend currently in apparatus maintenance a little over $500,000 a year. Wow. Yes, ma'am.
I know I asked this before, but I really think it would be good if we could set up a tour or maybe one of us doing one of the videos at Station 63.
I've had multiple people ask me if
Yeah,
we're gonna do it.
I'd be
in-house.
perfectly happy for my video to be standing in front of the moldy walls, because I've been in there and say, really, this is what you want to do to your firefighters? So
Okay.
if
Yeah.
we can set that up, I think that would be
I
really, really
will.
helpful.
I'll talk with Scott. about
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Great. Because if you guys haven't seen it, it's,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
the
going with
shower
mask.
is like one of those little folding
kidding.
doors, it doesn't even close all, oh,
Yeah. It's like your old high
It's
school gym.
horrible.
Kind of, yeah.
Kinda,
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, wear a mask.
Mhm.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm happy to answer any questions or take critique. Yes, ma'am.
I'm looking at the dot map there, and if 62 opens, would the vehicles, the apparatus be able to go through Horizon down that little and go to Birch Bay?
That's my plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm looking at all those calls in Birch Bay, and boy, if 62
Yeah, you get the
is
city
big
route.
route.
They're
Yeah.
going all the way around.
Right, yeah.
That's my plan is to
Yeah.
kind of force that through.
Mhm.
My second question was,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Your second question, I'll be
My,
next.
my second question was, I thought of it when you said that there was a car going in this morning. Did he use the remote?
Yeah, did you use the
If
remote?
you didn't, I bet, I'm still telling you he did.
So
you don't know.
Yeah, so you have to get out and turn the key.
Well, I was gonna say, I've been walking out by gate 2,
Uh-huh.
SAG gate 2, and was walking the dog and I heard I see the lights down there at the bottom. Of course, I saw the trains go by, so they're sitting out there coming up. And I see the guy looking and he gets out and then he gets back in the thing and he comes back out because he forgot the key and then he went up.
Oh, my goodness.
And then I'm waiting and then I'm waiting and I hear more engines coming up. And then about 20 minutes later, the other guys got there. And I'm thinking, okay, I hope nobody needed to important at that time. And I felt bad for everybody.
No, they should be using the remotes.
Well, this is before the remote.
Oh, okay,
This
okay.
was,
Oh.
this was before the remotes.
Yeah.
So they would get out
Okay.
and all of a sudden he's looking, you see him digging for
Yes, they
something.
dig.
And now we have the remote.
Yeah, and now they have the remote. So
Good, great.
When you tell that story, leave with the part about before they.
Yeah, before the remote.
Could
Yeah.
I copy this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and if you can model it, a before and an after, if you can get an honest assessment with the assumptions down, and if you can change the color map, that would be
Okay,
pretty powerful.
all right.
That'd be a nice.
I will see if what I will ask is to see if we can figure out maybe like, see if we can break out like 12 minutes between 10 and 12,
Right.
because that would, then we could assume those calls would be,
Right.
Mhm.
AI can actually help you a lot here.
Mhm.
you're on my trick. He thinks I'm a wizard.
I have one more question.
Yes, sir.
When you buy new equipment, do you do like a chattel lease on it?
We don't lease them. we buy them outright. There was, the fire service leases and purchasing is almost the same thing. They're so similar. And then since the cost of apparatus has gone up, once the equity firms took over, the leasing option went away.
Oh, that's too bad.
So,
Because
How much
it makes sense that you would take that 500,000 that you're spending on maintenance and spend it on
right.
leasing and get the new equipment, do away with the maintenance part.
Well, one of the things our mechanic is, he's old school.
Mhm.
So he does not agree with a lot of the tech that the companies are putting into the rigs. So we're going back to like point-to-point wiring, and we're going back to old school stuff. And actually we're noticing a trend in watching we can see what other people are buying and what they're speccing, and more places are going back to.
Interesting.
Right, it's like people that don't want touch screens in their
No
car.
computers,
And then
no
you've got
touch
the computer
screens.
screen, you've got computer chips that are starting to fail because they're coming from overseas.
We're going back to old school switches. The rigs are starting to look like when I started the fire service.
Emergency style.
Yes,
Mhm.
not manual transmissions though.
And no horses, no
Yeah,
horses.
No horse and buggies.
That's asking a little much.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
That's great.
One quick question, this is
Yes.
just personal, so one of the videos I was going to do was I had to call you guys several years ago because I had a heart issue. And they did send a fire truck, so they did used to send a fire truck for that, right?
It
And now
totally
they don't?
depends. It depends what's happening, where everybody is.
Mhm.
If a crew's gonna go run an errand, so I'm happy to fight with anybody. But I let our crews go to the store for dinner. They eat as a family.
I see them all the time.
And what the methodology or the method of my madness is that they get paid by taxes, and now they're spending their money in our area. So they're supporting jobs, they're getting out, they're seeing people, they're seeing little kids,
The grocery store.
there's 10% of everybody's unhappy with everything. So I can't make everybody happy,
And they never will be.
but it's kind of a tradition in the fire service, and it's, so when they go to the store, they take everything.
Ah,
They take
so
their
they may have
refrigerator.
all been out.
So or if they're doing an inspection, they take everything. If they're training, they
They're
take
ready to
everything.
go.
Yeah,
And they have all their tools with them. So it could have been one of those kind of things, where they could have been coming back from an engine call and then added another aid car. They'll do that as well. We cross license our engines. They carry all the same aid equipment as an ambulance. They just don't have the capability to transport. So that way
Yeah,
they can go, if they're right around the corner from a call, they can jump it in the engine. And then if they need an aid car, they can call an aid car. So
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I know that you said that if you have cross calls from Linden, Ferndale, or any of them coming from Bellingham to come out this way.
sometimes, yeah, we've had Bellingham units. Usually they'll get dispatched this way, and something clears up, and somebody closer jumps it.
Okay,
But
because I've seen Bellingham
so
here. a lot.
yes, so the way the paramedics work, you will see either a Fire District 7 or a City of Bellingham rig. Those who provides the paramedics. North Wacom, Fire District 21, we don't have paramedics. Those two agencies are the ALS, we call ALS agencies in the county. So if you see a Bellingham fire unit, it's probably a paramedic unit coming in.
You saw them out there at the Shell station.
Yep.
Yeah, just on Thursday morning, and two of them out there.
And probably what they were doing was they were meeting, they had a critical patient, and they were meeting and swapping swapping the patient. That's a common spot.
Tag team.
So,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I think that was what I was gonna say, when we moved up here from California. Having been down there, the one reason we thought, we drove around the area, we saw the fire station there, and we did not know at the time that it was not open. So, but, we're here, we're pushing to get it open.
Yes.
So if you go, thank you. If you go through some of the original documents that kind of outline Semiahmoo and the building of Semiahmoo, building a station is great, you gotta put people
People
in
in
to
it.
do
Yeah,
work.
right.
And so the developer, to offset some of the impact fees, the developer built the station, but the cities, other than with residents or new firefighters, there was, I think I lived there for 14 months. You know, but at the time it was, all three of us that lived there, we were all brand new in the fire service. You know, for the first 6 months, we thought we knew, but we didn't know, right? I mean, it's, what you need is that, you need an experienced crew.
Right.
One other thing, just, we were talking about insurance ratings and the insurance, Washington State Survey and Rating Bureau is who helps create the grids for the numbers. So like the 9A, the 6, the whatever for insurance. Their criteria for a station being functioning and staffed is either 3 people 24/7 or 15 active volunteers, which means they gotta have all their training and show that they have, you know, ongoing training, that they're trained to a certain level. So it's,
And you guys don't even have volunteers.
we don't have volunteers. This sounds horrible. I hate to say it's not worth the money, but if you had 15 volunteers per station, now you have to have the staff to make sure that they're trained, that they're compliant. They have to, and fire doesn't know the difference between career and volunteer, so the training is all the same. There's no, Washington State doesn't have different criteria for
Well, they
paid
can say you
versus
go here and put the
volunteer.
fire out, but you can't
So-
touch any bodies.
Right, so it is, and those departments that have continued having volunteers in the county, South Wacom, in the Seven Valley area is one of the big ones. They're stopping, it's just not worth anymore. It's not that it's not worth it, it's the cost benefit,
Yeah. the cost
right? It just
benefit.
doesn't pencil out anymore. You spend tens of thousands of dollars to get somebody outfitted and trained, and 6 months later they're gone. They get hired or they decide it's not for me. So,
What else? No? Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank
You're
you so
very
much.
welcome.
Are we still recording?
Yes.